What if the secret to survival wasn't locked in a lab or hidden in a supplement bottle, but growing wild, right beneath your feet? Imagine a world where famine, plague, and war stalked every village, and the only thing standing between life and death was a handful of strange, powerful plants. These were the superfoods that medieval farmers swore by. Plants so potent they were guarded by monks, prescribed by royal decree, and believed to hold the power of angels, or the threat of poison. Most have faded into legend. But what if I told you they're still out there, waiting to be rediscovered? Stay with me, because today we're counting down the 15 forgotten superfoods our ancestors relied on that still grow today. Some could save your life, others could end it, and the most shocking of all might be growing in your own backyard. 15. Good King Henry, Chenopodium bonus Henricus. In the shadow of crumbling castles, where the poor and the desperate huddled, a humble green was not just a weed, it was a lifeline. They called it Good King Henry, the poor man's asparagus. Medieval peasants harvested its arrow-shaped leaves and tender shoots, boiling them into stews when the fields were barren and nothing else would grow. But here's the twist. This forgotten perennial is richer in vitamins A and C, iron, and calcium than most modern greens we pay a fortune for. It's a survivor, thriving in neglected soils, offering harvest after harvest when other crops fail. Today, it's nearly vanished from our tables, but it's still out there, a ghost of resilience, waiting for those who remember. In the darkest hunger, Good King Henry was hope made edible, a green crown for the forgotten. From a humble green that gave life, we turn to a beautiful flower that could take it away. 14. Lily of the Valley, Convallaria majalis. Beneath the dappled shade of monastery orchards, a carpet of delicate white bells once promised both heaven and hell. Lily of the Valley was revered for its power over the heart, literally. Medieval healers used it to treat what they called melancholy vapors and failing hearts, believing it was a tear from the Virgin Mary herself, crystallized into a flower. Yet, every part of this plant is laced with cardiac glycosides, compounds so potent they can stop a heart as easily as they can regulate it. In the hands of an apothecary, it was a miracle. In the hands of a poisoner, it was an untraceable murder weapon. The line between medicine and malice was perilously thin. In every innocent blossom, Lily of the Valley hides a heartbeat's fate, life or death, decided in silence. From a beauty that kills, we turn to a root that bites back, one that stings the senses and wages war on disease. 13. Horseradish, Armoracia rusticana. Imagine a root so fierce it could make a grown knight weep. Horseradish was the medieval world's answer to infection and decay, a fiery, pungent weapon against the unseen enemies of disease. Monks and farmers alike grated its roots to treat bone-rattling coughs, clear sinuses, and preserve meat in the dark days before refrigeration. Modern science reveals its secret. Horseradish is packed with glucosinolates, compounds that unleash a chemical firestorm against bacteria and inflammation. Its heat is more than a flavor. It's a warning to invaders and a cure for the afflicted. In every tear it draws, horseradish reminds us, sometimes pain is the price of protection. But what if the cure for wounds and hunger was growing underfoot, trampled and ignored by the careless? The next superfood is everywhere, if you know where to look. 12. Broadleaf plantain, Plantago major. To most, it's just a weed, crushed beneath boots, cursed by gardeners. But in medieval times, broadleaf plantain was a miracle in disguise. For a farmer with a festering wound, or a child with a burning fever, its leaves were a gift from the earth itself, a free pharmacy for the common folk. Science now confirms its power. Plantain contains aucubin and allantoin, compounds that speed cell regeneration and fight inflammation. It's a survivor, thriving in the harshest, most compacted soils, always ready to serve those who have the wisdom to notice. The world's most overlooked healer waits in plain sight, proof that salvation often hides beneath our feet. If you think survival means settling for bland, think again. The next superfood is a burst of green energy, nature's defiant answer to the bleakness of famine. So 11. Chickweed, Stellaria media. When winter's icy grip refused to let go, and the fields lay barren and gray, chickweed was the first to break the hunger gap. Its tiny star-shaped flowers were more than just a sign of spring. They were a promise of survival, bringing vitamins and hope to starving families. Rich in vitamins A and C, iron, and calcium, chickweed is more than a weed. It's a nutrient bomb, thriving in the cold, feeding both peasants and kings when larders were empty. In the bleakest months, chickweed is the promise of spring, a constellation of life in a sea of gray. But what if the next superfood could outlast even the harshest winter, storing ancient sunlight in every golden grain? 10. Einkorn wheat, Triticum monococcum. Long before modern wheat, there was einkorn, the ancient grain that built empires and fed Roman legions. Medieval farmers prized it not for its yield, but for its stubborn resilience, its golden head swaying in the wind when fungal blights turned other crops to black dust. Einkorn is richer in protein, antioxidants, and micronutrients than the wheat we eat today. It's a taste of the past, a more nutritious world we traded for convenience. It's still available, a quiet rebellion for those who seek it out. Each kernel of einkorn is a time capsule, ancient sunlight, preserved for those who remember how to harvest the past. From golden fields to hidden roots, our next superfood is a secret buried deep in the soil, a forgotten protein that could change the fate of a village. 9. Ground bean, Apios americana. In the muddy banks and wild thickets, medieval foragers and forward-thinking monks unearthed the ground bean, a climbing vine that produces strings of protein-rich tubers. In a world where meat was a luxury, this was a treasure that could feed a family when all else failed. With 3 times the protein of a potato, the ground bean is a survivor's dream, enriching the soil with nitrogen as it nourishes the body. It represents one of history's great what-ifs, a superfood that could have prevented famines, had it not been forgotten. Hidden in darkness, the ground bean is a quiet revolution, sustenance for those willing to dig deeper. But not all salvation comes from the earth. Sometimes it drifts on the breeze, carrying the scent of calm in a world of chaos. Bar 8. Lemon balm, Melissa officinalis. In the cloistered gardens of medieval monasteries, surrounded by stone walls that kept the plague and chaos at bay, lemon balm was a balm for the soul. Its bright, lemony fragrance was a promise of peace, prescribed by abbesses like Hildegard of Bingen to make the heart merry and joyful. Modern research shows lemon balm measurably reduces the stress hormone cortisol and can even fight viruses. It's a gentle, forgiving healer for a mind and body under siege. In every breath of lemon balm, the world grows quieter, a whisper of peace in a storm of fear. But what if the next superfood was both food and fabric, binding together the body, the community, and the very economy of the medieval world? 7. Flax, Linum usitatissimum. Flax was the medieval multi-tool, a plant of impossible utility. Its seeds, packed with omega-3s, fed the hungry. Its tough fibers were woven into linen to clothe the poor and sailcloth to power exploration. Its oil was pressed to light the long, dark nights. Nutritionally, flax is a powerhouse that supports heart health and fights inflammation. Its delicate blue flowers, which bloomed for just a few days each summer, were a symbol of divine utility, a plant that held society together. Flax is the thread that weaves survival, binding flesh, fabric, and fire in a single, fragile stem. From the gentle to the fierce, our next superfood stings before it heals, demanding respect from all who dare to harvest it. 6. Stinging nettle, Urtica dioica. To touch it is to know pain, 1,000 tiny needles injecting a cocktail of formic acid into your skin. But to cook it is to taste life itself. Stinging nettle was both feared and revered, its leaves a source of complete protein, iron, and healing in the leanest of times. Cooking or drying neutralizes its sting, unlocking a treasure trove of vitamins and minerals. Medieval healers even used the sting itself, a practice called urtication, whipping arthritic joints with the plant to increase blood flow and reduce deeper pain. In every sting, nettle teaches humility, reminding us that nature's greatest gifts are often earned, not given. But what if the next superfood was a living relic, an herb so ancient, so imposing, it was said to be a gift from the heavens? 5. Angelica, Angelica archangelica. Towering above the monastery walls like a spectral sentinel, Angelica was believed to be heaven-sent, a botanical shield against plague and evil spirits. Its roots and stems were carried as talismans and brewed into potions to ward off the Black Death. Its name, Archangelica, comes from the legend that the Archangel Michael himself revealed its healing powers to a monk in a dream. Modern science confirms its potent antimicrobial compounds, but its legend is even greater. Angelica is the breath of angels, an ancient promise of protection, still whispering through the mists of time. From the sacred to the scandalous, our next superfood was so potent, it was banned from some gardens for stirring passions best left undisturbed. 4. Rocket, Arugula, Eruca sativa. Rocket was the forbidden fire of the medieval garden. Its peppery, almost spicy leaves were believed to be a powerful aphrodisiac, so much so that some monastic orders banned it from their plots, fearing it would inflame desires that conflicted with their vows of chastity. But rocket is more than legend. It's packed with vitamins, minerals, and cancer-fighting compounds. Its wild, untamed flavor still electrifies salads today, a defiant taste of its scandalous past. Rocket is the spark in the shadows, a green flame that burns through centuries of caution. But what if the next superfood was a survivor, thriving in the worst soils, its leaves painted with the colors of a king's banner? 3. Auroch, Atriplex hortensis. Auroch, with its vibrant red, purple, and green leaves, was a staple in medieval potages and a living muse for the artists who created illuminated manuscripts. It was called mountain spinach, and it thrived where other greens failed. In times of famine, when fields were dust and gardens were barren, Auroch was often the only splash of color and the only source of vital minerals. It was the difference between hunger and hope. Auroch is the artist's palette of survival, coloring the grayest days with the promise of life. From color to